morning, everybody. On my way to meet a contractor to look at a job site where they're trying to install a retaining wall, and the city is requesting that they have a tree preservation plan and or also maybe a tree inventory, which means I gotta go out there and see which trees are on site and if the installation of this retaining wall will affect the trees. Not just the trees that are around the retaining wall, but the city's also looking at, or they also want you to look at any trees that may be affected by the construction, even on adjacent property within 25 feet of the property they're working on. And the reason they're looking at this is because if people are using heavy equipment to do retaining wall construction, and they're driving that heavy equipment across root systems of trees that may be on the neighbor's property, it still could damage the neighbor's tree and cause them problems. My job is to go out there and see what's there and see what will be affected or could be affected by it. Obviously, there's the trees on the property where they're putting the retaining wall in. If they're near the construction, things like cutting roots or digging or changing grades, adding fill to the soil, cutting branches off to make way for equipment or something like that. All those things could affect the tree. So I try to look at it from the viewpoint of a contractor trying to do the job as well, and that's really important. A lot of guys overlook it all, but they, understanding how a construction process works and what these guys are going to always want to do. In other words, like, contractors don't want to use scaffolding on bigger buildings if they can to paint walls or put stucco up, so they want to use man lifts or snorkel lifts. Well, those kind of snorkel lifts need a bunch of space to be able to even drive, and then the basket is really wide too, so you got to make sure there's enough clearance from the trees to do that, as far as the branches hanging over and getting close, but also what's going to happen to those roots. So we see a lot of construction damage when we go to these sites, and our preservation plans usually include access to the property and to the site and to where they're actually doing the work, and understanding what that access looks like or what they're going to need to get back there. You have to ask a lot of questions. How are you getting back there? What material are you bringing back there? Then you got to spec the job also for making sure that they put up barricades, tree barricades to protect contractors. The idea is to protect the trees from contractors driving trucks in there or skid steers or anything that might damage those roots. So anyway, I'll show you how this all goes when I get there. Hey everyone, I'm on this site where they're building this retaining wall, and I'm going to walk down through it and sort of go over all of it as I go. So see what we come up with. So here are the contractors saying that they're going to bring their material down this way to get their block down there and any fill dirt for this retaining wall. This neighbor's yard, they have permission, but here are all these trees. They're going to bring a skid steer down there to move all the dirt back, so that will be impactful on those trees. So I'm going to walk back here to show you access. So I'll have to put up tree barricades here. Really, we should be putting some mulch down and some plywood on top of it to sort of protect the root system of that, and then some sort of a barricade there to allow traffic. See, same thing with this tree. This is a cherry laura. So we'll have to put some mulch and some plywood down here to keep it safe. It looks like the tree fell back here at some point. They're going to go through here with the material. Let's step into this. We've already dug this trench, so what I see already is, like, obviously they got some bamboo to contend with, but there's this tree here. It's a live oak over here, live oak here, live oak here, and then there's this big one here. So we're going to have to put in a tree barricade here, 5 times the diameter of the root system. The tree is 30 inches in diameter. We got another tree back here, about 26 inches in diameter. We should also have a tree barricade here to protect this root system. Looks like they might already be inside of CRZ. CRZ is the critical root zone, which is usually 5 times the diameter. Then you also have this one here. So this one's about 24 inches in diameter, maybe 25. And they've already dug into this one here. So roots have been cut. It has a phototropic lean to the south. The canopy looks pretty bad on this tree. So I give this tree pretty poor rating. I would say that it's poor based off the CTLA, Council Tree and Landscape Appraiser's guide for determining structure health and span. Then we have over here a tube tree. And the tube tree, it is probably about 22 inches in diameter. And then there's a chinaberry back there that's affected, and this is a schefflerary. So that chinaberry is about 18 inches or 20 inches. So we'll have to protect these trees. This one already had some roots damaged to put in the footer. So this one will have to do some protection on. This tree is an invasive species according to the Florida Exotic Plant Council. So not as much priority on keeping a tree like that, but I do think it's a really pretty tree. And it does have, the roots over here have been cut, and it has a lean to the south as well, down this embankment on the other side. So I think it gives it more proneness to tipping. So that tree I'd probably recommend to be removed, just because, if we damaged critical roots down here, it could tip that way, and there is a yard over there. So look over there. This tree, even if it fell, it wouldn't make it over to anybody's yard. So that one's not as critical for safety, but since it is cut in the critical roots, it probably should be removed as well. But they're doing this because this embankment here, if you look at it, has been eroding away for a long time. So they're going to build a retaining wall here and build the soil up to the same level as the pool deck. So this is a big footing. Obviously, it's already been dug. And unfortunately, I think the city already had come out to see these trees and decided that he had already dug this, and now they want him to get a preservation plan for at least these 2 trees and the other ones remaining here to protect them during the rest of this process, even though there's probably already some damage done.